Welcome back, everybody. It is Peter Schiff, and joining me now is Donald Norman, who is co-founder of the London-based Bitcoin consultancy. It was founded in April of 2011, and I guess they are the developers or the miners or the retailers. I'm not really sure, so I'll probably let Donald Norman describe to me the idea or the concept behind Bitcoin. Donald, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so I've had several people call me over the last month or so asking me my opinion of Bitcoins. And based on what I've, been told about them, I've just been very skeptical that they would, function as some type of alternative to dollars or euros or Japanese yen. But anyway, let me get your take on, obviously you came up with the idea. So let me know, how it works and what, in practically speaking, what's happening with it.
Yeah, okay. Well, I didn't come up with the idea of Bitcoins. The creator of Bitcoins is actually an anonymous figure. His name is Satoshi. That's what he calls himself, at least. But we think that he's a UK citizen because when he speaks on the forums, he uses UK English as a spelling. And also when he, excuse me, also if you look in the code, he makes reference to UK banks and UK bank bailouts, and a lot of people, see him as an idealist, a figure, and his anonymity is really sort of tied into the decentralized nature of this currency. When I first got involved with Bitcoins, I was as well very skeptical. My friend was highly involved. He's one of the top developers, not just on the mainline client, but on all sorts of external Bitcoin code, and that's what the consultancy does. It provides a means for clients, for merchants wanting to extend their business to Bitcoins, for them to be able to adopt Bitcoin, the current Bitcoin code, the current Bitcoin code, and adapt it to be able to fit the needs of their business. Right now, Bitcoin is highly underdeveloped. It's not really scalable, and there's tons of, while the Bitcoin code is very secure, people don't know how to secure their computers and run the risk of, through negligence, losing their coins and stuff like that. Now, in terms of the value, Bitcoin has a lot of advantages over different currencies. For instance, when you talk about gold and why is gold so popular, as a store of value versus paper money? Obviously, you know the reasons, but the thing is you wouldn't go into a store and pay for bread with gold. You wouldn't chip off some gold, do an acid test. It's much better as a store of value. The thing is, with Bitcoins, because it has a limited projected amount, only 21 million Bitcoins will ever be in circulation. Bitcoins does have, and because of its decentralization, it does have a lot of the properties that gold has, but it also has a lot of other properties.
Well, it doesn't. Well, here's where I got to stop, because see, the only property that it has, I suppose, is the fact that, according to what I've read or what you're saying, is there is some limit on the number of Bitcoins that can exist. So there is a scarcity in that there's not an unlimited supply of them, but what they lack is their own fundamental intrinsic value. You can't do anything with a Bitcoin other than trade it for something that you want. So intrinsically, the Bitcoin itself has no value. It only has value as a medium of exchange so long as people are willing to accept it.
Exactly.
My problem is, yeah, but dollars are accepted because, number one, the U.S. government will accept dollars in payment of taxes.
Exactly.
And so they won't accept Bitcoins. And so you have to, if you live in America, you need to get dollars to pay your taxes, to stay out of jail. You know, if you live in Europe, you need to get euros to pay your taxes. There is no need, there is no taxing entity that is going to accept these. I can't send Bitcoms to the IRS and say we're even. So if I'm gonna put my wealth, if I'm gonna take $10,000 and store them in Bitcoms, how do I know that a year or two from now anybody is going to accept them for anything? What if it's a fad and nobody wants them? See, the thing with gold is gold has value all by itself. If I don't have to be able to spend it. I can melt it down. I can make it into jewelry. I can use it in electronics. It has all sorts of properties that make gold intrinsically value all by itself, right? It doesn't have to be traded for another product. It can be used.
I completely agree with your sentiment, exactly. And this is one of the things people don't often see. The thing about Bitcoin isn't there's a lot of merchants that accept it, but who knows about the future? What it is it's a potentially new way to conduct commerce. So the internet is built on a lot of communication protocols which people aren't aware of. They go on the internet, and there's a lot of inner workings that people just don't know are happening. What I think something that might happen with Bitcoins is once there's a lot of fluidity in the exchanges, people will realize, wait, I can legally purchase dollars, put dollars, fund my account with dollars, purchase Bitcoins, and then send those Bitcoins to another exchange, liquidate them, and have spent nothing. Right now, and in the future, they won't even realize that they're using Bitcoins. Right now, if I step into a Western Union, and I did this a few days, about a month ago, I was in, I'm a U.S. citizen, and I was in the Netherlands, and I was trying to send pounds, pounds to Great Britain. My credit card or my debit card is a U.S. dollar account. So in order for me to do that, I would have to exchange my money to euros, and then exchange my money to pounds, and then send it. Now, Western Union charges a more than 20% markup fee on that. And after you've done it, they say there was no service fee. There's no service fee. The spread is huge. If you use Bitcoins, you wouldn't ever have to even know about Bitcoins. You'd be able to send them money at what costs is a tenth of a penny to do a transfer like that. So it's not really, I don't condone it as a store of value. I don't condone it as someone's investment. It's just an easier way to facilitate international commerce.
So what you're saying is if I'm in the United States and I have dollars in my account and I want to buy something from an online merchant who's selling something for euros, you're saying it's easier for me to convert my dollars to Bitcoin coins and then pay in Bitcoins than to convert them to euros and pay in euros, or to pay in,
I'm saying that right now there's an underdeveloped system, and right now it is not easier. Right now the external merchant sites and the exchanges are not safe, but the actual Bitcoin client, the Bitcoin code, is secure. It is right. I'm in talks with one of the higher ups from Swift. In fact, the head guys of Swift, and they see it. They see the potential in this. Swift is used outside of the U.S. has been used for 30 years since the early 80s, and it is the way. If you want to send money from one bank to another, you need to have a Swift code.
Well, how is that different? What about people using things like PayPal? I mean, when people are members of these types of organizations, doesn't that facilitate the trading?
Yeah, well, PayPal is much better than some archaic forms of transfers. Let's say money, bank wires. But the thing is, PayPal's fees are a lot more than a system that Bitcoin would, the fees that would be based on Bitcoin services. Now, as well with PayPal is not decentralized. So PayPal can choose to seize your funds whenever they do, and they have a huge reputation, which is building, of infamously just freezing people's accounts.
On PayPal?
And people have no legal recourse. With the U.S. dollar, when you make exchanges with the U.S. dollar, you're relying on the government, you're relying on lawyers, you're relying on a whole infrastructure.
Yeah. Now, you've already had a run-in, right, with the U.S. government. There's some congressmen or senators that are now looking into Bitcoins. Is that true?
That's right. Because of its decentralized nature, people can pretty much do anything with Bitcoin.
Yeah, so let's hold that thought. I want to get into that. That's very interesting after we get back from this commercial break. So don't go away. Now, Donna, was it Chuck Schumer that is looking into Bitcoin as some kind of counterfeiting operation?
No, what actually he looked into was this merchant site, which is operating based on Bitcoin, called the Silk Road. And because Bitcoin is decentralized, no one can control, what people do within the Bitcoin economy right now because it is not regulated. And this merchant site is basically providing a means for people to buy and sell drugs. So it's sort of like an eBay. It's an intermediary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm reading a quote. I don't know if it's a quote, if you supplied it, where Chuck Schumer said that this